So, the spoilers are out for My Hero Academia Manga Chapter 408, and let's just say that it seems as if the battle between All For One and Bakugo, as well as the flashback, will be coming to an end, and we'll be diving right into that, but first, right after this. Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Manga Man Drew, and I'm here to do my manga review for My Hero Academia Manga Chapter 408. And let's just say that this chapter is going to be a continuation of what we got with last chapter, where we're going to get the conclusion of the flashback of All For One, as well as a really shocking moment that I didn't think that we would actually be getting in the flashback, as well as probably one of the biggest and best double paid spreads Horikoshi has ever made. So, let's just dive right into this review and really talk about the chapter. And as I said prior, this chapter is primarily the flashback that is being continued from the last chapter, where we got to see the actual play of what All For One did, because we get the confirmation that All For One did kill his brother, but with the context of this chapter, it's not something that happened immediately when Yoichi was actually freed, as well as we get a little bit more context to why Yoichi was named the way that he was, which is an indication of he was named after All For One for being his first possession in this world, with Yoichi having the kanji meaning give and one, which makes sense because he is the first user of One For All, as well as the idea that he gave his quirk to someone else. Once again, Horikoshi using the naming scheme to really indicate the powers of the people themselves, but also have a secondary meaning when it comes to All For One. And what is even more amazing about this first part is just the comparison and contrast between the second user, Kudo, as well as All For One when it came to the death of Yoichi, where Kudo's eyes was filled with like a little bit of like despair and sadness, as we see it reflecting All For One, whose eyes are nothing but blankness, which apparently has been the case since he was born, as well as we get the first part of the flashback where we get to see both All For One and Kudo come to a similar conclusion that, oh, the quirk that was in Yoichi was able to be passed on, and that now it's inside of someone else, with All For One coming to a realization that the meta ability that he thought that his brother didn't have actually existed, but that it was so weak that he couldn't actually register it as a quirk, with Kudo with the reveal of the third user's name, whose name is Bruce. And it makes sense that his name is Bruce, because that is actually a lot more common name for a character that is also a superhero. Bruce Banner, Bruce Wayne, Bruce Willis, all of them are superheroes in their own right. But we also get, once again, the reveal that Kudo has two quirk factors inside of him, which he most likely got from Yoichi, and how this information is revealed to them as we get sort of like a dynamic like ideal of what's going on with these two people, where we get to see that Yoichi is a little bit conflicting about how he wanted to and couldn't stop his brother, how he wanted to keep him alive as well, but how he views people as toys, and how he couldn't think about other people's feelings, but how he also thinks to himself that the power to give and take could have been one of the kindest quirks in the world, which is something that even All Might, if I remember correctly, brought up the idea that he could have done so much good if he wasn't so greedy. So it shows that there is a kindred connection between the users of One For All, which we're going to get even more with the connection with the previous users, even with Bakugo. But as they come to the conclusion that the wheel of Yoichi lives inside someone else, we have a small montage of All For One coming to this realization and pretty much confirming what his plan has been the entire time. That why he's been chasing One For All for decades upon decades is solely for the reason of getting his younger brother. As we get to see the montage where we get to see, for the most part, him going after every user of One For All. We see the moment where he most likely kills Kudo, the moment where he attacks and tries to take the quirk from Bruce, but it's already been transferred. We also get to see the first interactions between he and the Doctor, him trying to steal the quirk from Banjo but failing, him cutting in half, and in passing on his power of One for All to Nanashimura with the hair. And the one panel that I didn't think that we would actually get is All for One's first initial defeat by One for All, by All Might, and we actually get to see All Might blowing off All for One's head as he concludes about how he always tried to get One for All, but it kept slipping through his fingers. And what is even more interesting about this is how the flashback ends with Dr. Garaki stealing back All for One's body, implying that All for One might have actually been dead, but resurrected by the Doctor. So there's a lot of cool stuff that we actually get in this flashback montage, and this is some stuff that we actually thought that we might not have gotten in the actual story. And while it's not a fully fleshed out flashback for All for One, it's very much in line with the other flashbacks that we've had for other characters, so I'm actually very happy and excited that we even get this as we cut back to the present, where All for One has come to a realization that this is all your fault, Kudo, cutting back to the exact same moment that we saw 2 chapters ago, and how he once again has this inner monologue, which is where I want to bring up the comparisons between Bakugo and Kudo, where we have All for One literally confirming that there is no way that Bakugo could be related to Kudo in any way, because he pretty much exterminated his bloodline. He killed every woman that was close to Kudo, that he may have loved or had relations with, and that what would have set it off if they were related is that he would have noticed it in their eyes. But what is pretty much happening in this moment is that Bakugo isn't the next user of One for All, or is related to One for All, or related to Kudo at all. What is related to him is the will, the drive, the want to defeat All for One, and that they share the same eyes, they share the same glimmer, the same determination in their eyes, which ties back into the title of this chapter, which I didn't bring up, which is Eyes Full of Determination. So yeah, the reasoning why All for One is so mad at Bakugo in this moment, and why he reminds him of Kudo, is just that it's the will of wanting to be a hero and stop him that he hates the most. That's the reasoning why he's always felt uneasy about everyone else in this final battle, because all of them are sharing the goal of wanting to defeat him, and that is something that he constantly underestimates the heroes for, which could potentially lead to his downfall, especially with the final attack that he performed in this final battle, where he thinks that he wants to get out of the situation as quickly as possible, and that he thinks about trying to get rid of Bakugo, but that it's not going to be very successful, and that his only solution is to kill him and transfer himself into Tomura at the same time, where we get the double page spread. And there's actually a fair amount of double page spreads. The actual All for One flashback montage of him going after the One for All users was a double page spread. The final page of this chapter is a double page spread, but the one in the middle is All for One saying full factor release, All for One goal, as we get to see every quirk and every quirk factor inside of him being released at once. Each quirk most likely representing one of the faces in this montage, with like monsters and maws and energy balls and rings coming out all at once with a massive explosive force, able to incinerate buildings around him. Edshot and All Might are looking at this situation, come to the realization of what All for One is doing, and is telling Bakugo to dodge, but Bakugo is just sitting there with all of the explosions going off around him, saying that, oh, you are so stupid, you're about to lose right now as the chapter ends. And this was a fascinating and fun chapter. Not only did we get the continuation of the flashback between All for One and why he actually is doing the things that he is doing, but we also get to see what the final confrontation between Bakugo and All for One is going to be. And I think what Bakugo is about to do is that he's about to send out an explosion that's going to be so powerful and so destructive that it's going to rival the power of all of the quirks inside of All for One being released at once. And that is going to be a spectacle. And apparently we are not going to be on break, so that's going to be something that we're going to be getting next week. And then from there, we're probably going to be going on break because we are going to be going on the winter season. And this is where we're going to get that long chunk of break that we typically get during the holiday season. But let's hope for 2 more chapters to end this year with a bang. But yes, overall, I really did enjoy this chapter. I enjoy the fact that All For One isn't just a purely shallow character, that while he is going after One For All, it's heavily tied to his greed, and that he was able to lose something and now he wants to regain it. How he could have taken control of the world 10 times over by now, but he has been constantly focused, one-minded goal of getting his brother back, something that he has had the entire time. It's just like the idea of the first thing that you ever bought with your own hard-earned money, and then you lose it and you try to get it back no matter the cost. That is what All For One is right now, and this really shows the humanity that is inside All For One, but also shows how humanity can be both beautiful and destructive. But overall, really enjoyed the chapter. The art is, as usual, on point. I love the connection that they draw between Bakugo and Kudo, showing that it's not blood related or time travel, but that it's just the eyes that are full of determination, and it's that determination that is most likely going to be the downfall of All For One, because he constantly underestimates what heroes can do. But yeah, I pretty much enjoyed the story. Also love the implication that All For One could have died and been brought back to life by Dr. Kudo. Enjoyed just getting the dichotomy between the two users of One For All and All For One, both with the characters holding the power, as well as Yoichi getting to see their perspectives of him, as well as getting Yoichi's perspective of his brother being both positive and negative, as well as just, once again, getting to see just those small tidbits of the past of All For One and One For All conflict that we didn't necessarily think that we'd be getting at all in the series. Pretty much enjoyed this chapter, but let me ask you this: what did you think of the chapter? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? What was your favorite part? And are you a fan of the multiple double page spreads in this chapter? Leave your thoughts down below, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content like this. Do all that cool jazz, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you in my next video. Goodbye!